Something fascinating is happening in West Africa. Ghana, a country once known mainly for gold and cocoa, is now making global headlines, and not just for politics. Recently, the world watched in shock as the Ghanaian cedi surged past the mighty US dollar, becoming the world's best-performing currency. And just when the dust was settling, another bombshell dropped. Ghana has discovered a new mineral buried in its soil, tantalum. In a world racing toward green energy and advanced technology, tantalum isn't just any mineral. It's a vital ingredient in everything from electric cars to smartphones, and it could transform Ghana's economy in ways few can imagine. This discovery has the potential to change Ghana's destiny forever. But here's the question that hangs in the air. Does Ghana have what it takes to seize this moment and turn tantalum into true prosperity? Or will this newfound wealth become yet another curse, fueling corruption and conflict like so many resources have across Africa? Let's dive in and find out. Not long ago, a team of brilliant Ghanaian researchers made a discovery that could change everything. Deep in the Bewadze-Mankowadze area, tucked inside the Kibi-Winneba belt of southern Ghana, they uncovered a new mineral, tantalum. Hidden within an ancient igneous rock called pegmatite, tantalum was found in quantities significant enough to spark serious excitement. This breakthrough didn't happen by chance. It's documented in a scientific paper authored by Dr. Emmanuel Danoba Sunkari, a respected lecturer at the University of Mines and Technology in Tarkwa. He worked alongside Joshua Nkansa, a postdoctoral research fellow at the University of Johannesburg in South Africa, and Salam Jansbaka Adams from the University of Environment and Sustainable Development in Somalia. Together, these researchers have opened a new chapter in Ghana's mineral story, and perhaps its economic future. The team's research went even deeper. They discovered geochemical anomalies concentrated in the southwestern part of their study area, signs pointing toward tantalum hidden underground. This means that future exploration for tantalum should focus right there. And here's the kicker. Pegmatites, the rocks that host this valuable mineral, aren't rare in Ghana. They're spread generously across the south, around places like Iwoya, Biriwa, Winneba, Bewadze, and Mankowadze. But this raises a big question. What exactly is tantalum, and why does it matter so much for Ghana? Tantalum, known by its symbol Ta and atomic number 73, is a shiny, silvery metal with remarkable powers. It resists corrosion, shrugs off chemical attacks below 150 degrees Celsius, and keeps its cool under extreme conditions. This makes it a star player in the modern world. It's used in electronic components, helping smartphones and laptops run smoothly. It's crucial for high-temperature devices like aircraft engines, and it even has life-saving roles in medical and dental applications. For Ghana, tantalum isn't just a mineral. It could be a ticket to economic transformation. Tantalum isn't just a shiny metal. It's a key to the future. It's essential for producing capacitors used in energy-saving technologies like renewable energy systems, electric vehicles, and solar panels. In a world desperate to cut down on fossil fuels and greenhouse gas emissions, tantalum is pure gold, only rarer. If Ghana can harness these tantalum deposits the right way, it could mean a serious boost in foreign exchange earnings. It could also put the country at the heart of the global clean energy revolution. Add in tantalum's uses in high-temperature machinery, advanced electronics, and medical devices, and suddenly, this discovery becomes more than just news. It's a critical opportunity for Ghana's industrial and economic growth. In short, finding tantalum is a huge milestone for Ghana's mineral industry. But now comes the big question. Is Ghana truly ready to handle this resource? To answer that, we need to look back at how Ghana has managed its other treasures. For decades, Ghana has been almost synonymous with gold. There's a reason the country was called the Gold Coast during the colonial era. The land was rich with it. And if we're being honest, compared to many other African nations, Ghana has done pretty well for itself when it comes to gold. Gold hasn't just poured money into the government's coffers. It's created thousands of jobs, sustaining communities and fueling economic progress. Especially in recent times, gold has been a lifeline for Ghana's economy. So the question remains, can Ghana replicate that success story with tantalum? Or will this new treasure bring new challenges? And thanks to the new administration under President Mahama, Ghana's gold sector has been transformed almost overnight. Just a few months ago, the country reported something astonishing: over $3 billion in gold exports during the first quarter of 2025. To put that into perspective, this was a massive leap from the $670 million recorded in the same period of 2023, and a giant jump from the $862 million in 2024. In just 1 year, Ghana more than doubled its gold revenues. How did this happen? It wasn't luck. It was the result of bold new regulations introduced by the government. For decades, Ghana's gold mining industry, like much of Africa, had been dominated by foreign companies from China and Europe. These firms carved out enormous profits, often leaving only crumbs behind for local communities. But President Mahama campaigned on a promise: to take back control of Ghana's gold. He vowed to tackle illegal mining head-on and restructure the entire sector. One of his most decisive moves came just months ago. He signed a new law that changed everything. Under this law, a powerful new state agency was born: Ghana Gold Board. This organization was given exclusive authority to oversee and certify all gold exports. According to the new rules, Gold Board is now the sole buyer, seller, and exporter of all gold produced by Ghana's artisanal and small-scale miners. That means neither local companies nor foreign firms can swoop in to buy up gold directly from small miners anymore. But that's not the end of the story. But President Mahama's reforms didn't stop there. In a bold move, Ghanaian authorities announced that all foreigners, including Western and Chinese investors, are banned from buying and selling gold directly in Ghana's gold market. Foreign companies are still allowed to operate in the country, but under the new rules, they can only apply to buy or offtake gold through Ghana Gold Board. In simple terms, these companies can stay, but their activities are now firmly under government control. And there was another game-changing rule. From May 21st onward, every ounce of gold bought in Ghana must be purchased with a license from the new Ghana Gold Board. That's a major shakeup because the old licenses issued by the Precious Minerals Marketing Company, the agency that used to handle Ghana's mineral trade, are no longer valid. Anyone caught trading gold without the new license now faces criminal charges. It's the strict enforcement of this law that's turned Ghana's gold industry upside down, in a good way. And the results speak for themselves. This sweeping change sent ripples through the economy. Inflation cooled, the local currency strengthened, and confidence surged. Given all this momentum, many are now asking, could this same decisive leadership help Ghana harness its new treasure, tantalum, and turn it into the country's next big success story? Only time will tell. Now, as we've seen, Ghana's discovery of tantalum isn't just a win for one country. It's a critical opportunity for Ghana's industrial and economic growth. But here's the bigger picture. This discovery could open the floodgates for more exploration across Africa, a continent already famed for its hidden mineral wealth. Beneath Africa's vast landscapes lie geological formations still waiting to tell their secrets. And tantalum might just be one of them. The signs are there. Countries like the Democratic Republic of Congo, Rwanda, and Nigeria are already rich in minerals like coltan, a key source of tantalum. These regions, especially where pegmatite rock formations exist, could hold untapped reserves of this valuable metal, just waiting to be unearthed. Imagine the possibilities. If exploration expands, it could help diversify Africa's mineral exports and breathe new life into local economies. And the timing couldn't be better. The world's appetite for critical minerals like tantalum is exploding, driven by the race toward clean energy technologies and the digital revolution. From electric vehicles to renewable energy systems, the future runs on minerals like tantalum. So here's the question Africa must answer. Should the continent settle for simply supplying raw resources to the world? Or should Africa go further and become the place where these critical minerals are processed, refined, and transformed into the high-tech products that power tomorrow? For the last 500 years, Africa has been caught in a relentless pattern. To the west, the continent has long been mapped out as nothing more than a cheap source of raw materials. And along the way, the West crowned itself as the only place where true industrial revolutions could happen. This strategy has deep roots. It stretches all the way back to 1502, when the transatlantic slave trade began. Millions of Africans were captured and shipped across the ocean, forced to work on vast European plantations in the Americas. Their labor built fortunes and fueled an economic machine that left Africa drained and broken. Then came European colonialism. In 1884 and 1885, European leaders gathered around a table at the Berlin Conference and carved up the African continent like pieces of a pie. Lines were drawn on maps, borders were invented. The goal was crystal clear: to conquer Africa and exploit its raw materials to feed Europe's growing industries. Even when independence movements swept across Africa in the 20th century, the system didn't truly end. The colonial rulers packed up their flags and soldiers, but left behind agreements and pacts designed to keep the resources flowing. Former colonial powers like France made sure they could still tap into Africa's wealth, using economic and political pressure to keep the old pipelines open. The names and faces may have changed, but the system remained the same. So now, as Ghana discovers tantalum and the world races into a new green and digital future, the question is more urgent than ever. Will Africa finally break free from being just a supplier of raw materials, or will history repeat itself once again? But here's the brutal truth. The West's hunger for Africa's raw materials isn't just about business, it's about power. That's why countries like France and the United States have a long history of interfering in African politics. When African leaders refused to play along, when they dared to say no to exploitation, the consequences were often deadly. Over the decades, there have been coups, assassinations, and puppet regimes propped up to keep the flow of resources secure for foreign interests. This is one of the reasons why so many African countries have suffered under what's known as the resource curse, a cruel paradox where nations bursting with wealth beneath their soil remain trapped in poverty and underdevelopment. It's a bitter irony. Africa is blessed with staggering mineral riches, the very resources Europe and the West desperately need for their industries, their technologies, and now, their green energy transitions. Strategically, Africa should be the one holding the cards. As Julius Malema, leader of South Africa's economic freedom fighters, once thundered in a speech, Africa doesn't need the West. Instead, the West needs Africa. And he's absolutely right. So the question facing Africa today is this: will the continent finally seize its power, or let history repeat itself once again at its expense? But here's the painful reality. Despite Africa's mountains of mineral wealth, the continent remains heavily dependent on industrial goods from the West. The reasons are many: a lack of infrastructure, corruption, and a global economic system tilted against African nations. So what happens? Africa's precious raw materials are shipped out at bargain prices to European countries that have the factories, technology, and capital to turn them into finished goods. Then those same goods come flooding back into Africa, sold at sky-high prices. It's a vicious cycle, and it's one of the biggest reasons why Africa, despite its riches, is still labeled the poorest continent in the world. For decades, this was simply the way things were. But around the early 2000s, a new wave of African leaders began to push back. Governments started imposing bans on raw material exports, determined to break free from Western-controlled markets. They began talking seriously about adding value to Africa's own minerals, crops, and forest resources, right here on the continent. The late Robert Mugabe, former president of Zimbabwe, captured this frustration perfectly in 2015 when he addressed the Southern African Development Community. If we remain exporters of raw materials, we will never go anywhere while other economies flourish. 5 years later, Ghana's President Nana Akufo-Addo echoed the same message. Standing before an audience in Switzerland, he declared, "There can be no future prosperity for the Ghanaian people in the short, medium, or long term if we continue to maintain economic structures that are dependent on the production and export of raw materials." Their words ring louder than ever today. The question is, will Africa finally flip the script or remain trapped in the same old story? Now, in recent times, the conversation has shifted once again. With the world gripped by the urgency of climate change, nearly every country is scrambling to embrace a clean energy transition. And once again, global eyes are turning toward Africa. Because beneath African soil lies a new kind of gold, the minerals essential for building the future. From lithium-rich rocks in Zimbabwe to vast deposits of cobalt in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, these resources have become the lifeblood of green technologies, powering electric vehicles, solar panels, and the batteries that will keep the lights on in a fossil-free world. Global demand for these minerals is skyrocketing. But instead of simply ramping up exports to meet the world's hunger, some African governments are choosing a different path. They're saying no more. Take Malawi, for example. In February 2025, Malawi's government made a bold move. It froze all exports of gemstones and precious minerals. At the same time, it stopped issuing new mineral export licenses altogether, determined to reform how the entire sector is run. Malawi, a country tucked in southern Africa, is blessed with significant mineral riches, uranium, rubies, sapphires. Yet like so many of its neighbors, it has struggled to translate that natural wealth into real benefits for its people. And that's exactly why Malawi's leaders decided to draw a line in the sand. They're no longer willing to watch their treasures flow out of the country only to see their people remain trapped in poverty. The question now is, will this new approach finally allow African nations to keep more of the value from their own resources, or will powerful interests find ways to keep the old system alive? And Malawi's government isn't staying silent about their intentions. In a post on Facebook, Malawi's mining minister, Joseph Mkandawire, made the message crystal clear. This measure has been taken in order to sanitize the mining sector, as the ministry will be undertaking some reforms to bring in efficiency and transparency in the Mineral Rights Administration. According to the government, the export ban took effect immediately and will stay in place until further notice. But here's where things get even more interesting. Just before the ban was announced, Malawi's vice president ordered a sweeping review of all existing mining contracts. That review is set to last just 21 days, a short window with potentially massive consequences. Because like so many African nations, Malawi's mining sector has long been dominated by foreign companies. And for decades, those companies have made billions off Malawi's soil, thanks to contracts that heavily favored them, leaving the country itself with only scraps. These unfair deals ensured that foreign corporations maximized their profits at Malawi's expense. And the consequences have been painful. Malawi, still a net importer struggling to build its economy, has been chasing billions of dollars in unpaid taxes and royalties owed by foreign mining giants. So the government's latest moves aren't just bureaucratic tweaks. They're part of a larger fight to reclaim the country's resources and to make sure that Malawi's minerals finally work for Malawians. This situation unfolding in Malawi isn't happening in isolation. It reminds us of a similar story playing out in Mali. If you've been following the headlines, you'll know that Mali's military leader, Colonel Assimi Goïta, has been making waves with his bold, aggressive push to ensure that Mali finally benefits from its own gold wealth. Just like Malawi's government ordering an audit of its mining sector, Colonel Goïta launched a sweeping investigation into Mali's mining industry. And what that audit uncovered was staggering. Every single year, Mali was losing between $500 million and $1 billion in mining revenues. Imagine that, $500 million to $1 billion slipping through the country's fingers year after year. Colonel Goïta didn't waste time. He immediately pushed through a new mining code designed to give Mali a bigger slice of the pie. Under the new rules, the government can now take up to 35% stakes in new mining projects, securing a direct share of the profits. The law also ensures the state collects more revenue from the industry by tightening tax rules. Corporate tax breaks were slashed from 15 years down to just 3, and VAT exemptions for mining production, gone. But that's not all. The new law also mandates the creation of a local development fund. Here's how it works. The government will channel 20% of its mining royalties into this fund, while mining companies will contribute 0.25% of their turnover. In effect, this will create 2 new revenue streams that siphon money away from mining giants like Barrick and redirect it toward local projects and community development. Mali is sending a clear message. The days of foreign companies walking away with Africa's mineral wealth while locals are left behind are coming to an end. The question is, will these bold moves truly transform Africa's fortunes, or trigger new battles with powerful mining interests unwilling to let go. The implementation of the new code has the potential of generating $820 million annually for Mali. However, mining companies in Mali like Barrick Gold initially refused to adhere to the new code. According to them, the mines should be subject to the previous code, which was in force at the time of their commissioning. Instead of cowering before these foreign companies, Colonel Assimi decided to take an aggressive approach. First, he arrested some of the officials of some mining companies and demanded that they pay their unpaid taxes. Although it took some months, these companies have finally come to an agreement with Colonel Assimi. This is evidence that when a leader stands his ground, other foreign entities would have no choice but to heed his demand. This step taken by Mali is what every African country, including Ghana, should take regarding its minerals. If Africa doesn't stand for itself, no one else will. What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments section below. Don't forget to like this video, drop a comment, and subscribe to our channel.